I've been on websites where I'm like, I just want to know who's behind this website. And this photo that on the about page is still not even this person. And it really gives me pause and makes me wonder who is behind the site. And I definitely don't want to give my money to that provider until I've actually seen them on a call, if I even get that far, because maybe I'm going to find someone else.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, business coach and value whisperer. And on this show, we discuss the smarter way to market your small business that just happens to be brilliant for introverts, because it's creating a strategy that fits your personality and aligns with your values, your dream client, and the experience that you want to create. And the first step in that experience is very often your website. This is not just a digital brochure, it's often the first point of discussion, and it opens a conversation between you and a potential client. I know we think of websites as reaching millions of people, and it can, but I think it's helpful to remember that when someone lands on your website, you are having a personal one-to-one relationship with that person, a personal conversation. And today, in a world where everybody seems to be online and a coach offering similar tools in a similar language, there's a lot of use of AI. Your website offers you the opportunity to do something different, to really create that connection with your next dream client, to help them feel seen and understood and interested in learning more about working with you. Or if you don't manage to do that, it can send them clicking away. And today I'm excited to be sitting down with Whitney Bateson, a dietitian turned digital marketing expert who now helps health, wellness, and coaching professionals build websites that actually work and not just sitting there looking pretty, full of trees and mountains and flowers, as we so often see. We're going to be talking about what it really takes to build trust from the very first moment someone lands on your website and starts to scroll. We'll look at how your personality can be your biggest differentiator online, and what most coaches and consultants, people with a service-based business, get completely wrong when it comes to building a website that turns your visitors into clients. So whether you're building your very first website or wondering why your current one isn't converting, this conversation is going to give you a lot to think about. Let's get started. So hi, Whitney. It's amazing to have you with us today.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here, Melitta. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. And we haven't specifically spoken about like websites and online presence for a while. So I'm excited that we're going to dive into that today. But before we do, I'd love to know your story. How did you get focused in this aspect of work in the first place?
Yeah, so my career started in school nutrition. I was actually a dietitian working in DC public schools in Washington, DC. And school nutrition in general, you're touching a lot of different things. You're teaching people, you're training people, you're doing regulations, you're using software. And I realized that I had this great love for marketing and using technology to help people get the message out there, all of that. And as the years went on, I moved up in the company I was in and started supporting school districts across the country, and just again really felt like, okay, we need to leverage technology and communication and marketing to really distribute nutrition education. And I was working with software developers on our nutrient analysis software, and my passion for that kind of took over my passion for nutrition. Still very passionate about people getting the support to, solve nutrition problems or just live better lives and all of that. But really wanted to actually enable other dietitians and health and wellness practitioners. And now I also support therapists to get their message out there. So I shifted careers completely into actually helping now with marketing and online presence and websites and just empowering other providers, because I also felt that there really weren't a lot of resources available to me as a nutrition professional that I felt were tailored to me. Like people, when they think of dietitian, they think of a lab coat and a waist measuring tape around an apple or something. And it's so much more than that. And I just felt that both practitioners needed to get something that actually understood them. And then also just even the public needed to really get that clear picture of how these different health professionals can really support them in more ways than just losing weight, which is fine, but there's so much more than that. So yeah, that's what I do. I have been building websites now for 7, 8 years. And a couple years ago, I transitioned from custom websites into a website program called the Wellness Pro Website System. And that's how I help practitioners today get their websites up online. And it's a done with you program. So I really enjoy the aspect of giving some done with you templates, but then also a lot of teaching and education so that the practitioners know how to market their sites and leverage them and really use them for the long haul, not just getting a site that just sits there. And that's what we're going to be talking about today too, is really actually using your website, not just having it there as like this brochure or calling card thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I love all that journey. And I guess if you're teaching children and families about good nutrition, that already is marketing because
Right.
it's
Yeah.
whenever you're trying to communicate a message that is new to people. And I was quite surprised, but I used to be a communication consultant when I first started my business, and I worked with the Nestle Nutrition Institute, and they're researching nutrition around the world. And it was quite surprising just how many well-off parts of the world, developed parts of the world don't understand good nutrition, and therefore when people go into the next phase of life, they don't have the foundation within their body to do that well and to get the outcomes that
Right.
they want. And it's a real eye-opener. So that's amazing work. And I love that you're now
Yeah.
helping more nutritionists or people in the health space to get that message out, because I'm imagining that as part of your education as a nutritionist and dietitian, creating websites and getting clients and communicating wasn't really part of that.
It's never part of it. Even marketing, I mean, we did learn a bit about more like behavioral marketing to change health behaviors and all of that, but not in the sense of marketing your own business and kind of taking it to that next more sales consumer focused marketing.
Mm.
And just like you said, it's just so important, and so much of helping people change their habits, especially in mass at scale, is about just marketing in a way that's going to meet them where they are and respect what they already know and what they're actually wanting to achieve, which can be different than what you want them to achieve or what you want to tell them. And that's something that we talk a lot about when we're talking about like writing the copy for your website. It's hard to get out of our minds because I'm sure even as like a communications consultant, you obviously knew more than your clients and you knew what they should be doing. But if you just came in and just told them exactly what to do, that wasn't always going to be the most useful thing. You have to kind of figure out, okay, where are they struggling? How am I going to shift how I'm talking about this and helping them in a way that's first going to come at where they are? So I think that's a lot of what we have to do as entrepreneurs in general.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to meet them where their mind is today and take them on that journey. Otherwise, it just doesn't
Yes.
work. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the hardest things for coaches, is that we know where they can get to. And we're really excited about that outcome and all the tools that we've like
Yeah.
got and learned and can use. And we get all excited about that. And then we
Yeah.
don't get the clients. Um,
Yeah.
so I was going to ask, the online space has become way more competitive, particularly since COVID. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's online, everyone's a
Yeah.
coach. What does it take, therefore, to have an online presence that does stand out? Because I've had quite a few clients in this space, and it's been really challenging for them in the early stages, looking at what makes them valuable, what's like different about them. And they're like, well, I have the same values as all my other health coach friends, and
Yeah.
I've done the same course and I have the same tools. So, what makes them stand out is often themselves and what brought them to doing this, why it's important for them. But how do you help? Because obviously your clients are all largely in the same niche. So
Mhm.
how do you help them discover that value and communicate that instantly online?
Mhm. It's definitely a process of uncovering just even first, who is it that you want to help? What do you want to help them with? what made you want to help them? Like, just what's the driving passion behind why you're even getting into this work? I would have to, even just talking about my own story, really dive deep and uncover, well, why am I so motivated to help dietitians build websites or coaches build websites? And it goes deep to like, I didn't feel like I had the right resources. I didn't feel like I had people that I could trust to actually help me with this. Like, you have to kind of go deeper. And so I think one of those things is just doing like a free thinking exercise, talking into ChatGPT or doing a voice memo to really get at the heart of what makes you want to do this work. And then you need to start translating it into, okay, how am I different? What's my approach that's going to address some of those things? Like, if I'm saying I couldn't find people that I could trust and that would listen to me, how is my process then going to bring that trust in and help people in a way that I think was missing from the market?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to package that into just what is your process. And it doesn't have to be this catchy 5-step framework. I think also too, like, especially when we're getting started, we can feel like we need to have this super unique, super fancy, polished thing that's ours. And honestly, just how you want to approach helping someone move from point A to point B, how you would do it, writing that out. And then I think the other piece of it that can set you apart online from all these other people is just how you are speaking to your customers on your website.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sharing your story, your brand voice, and how is your personality coming through? What kind of relationship do you want to be building with your customers? Is it like a friendly one? Are you like filled with a little like snark and, sarcasm? Or is it more of a very nurturing, kind, friendly, or is it more professional? Like, how are you being different in that way? And then how are you using the words of your customers to actually describe what they're going through in your materials and on your website? Because that is going to stand out to people. There's plenty of websites online. There's plenty of designs online. Don't think people are really going to remember you off of just, oh, she had a green on her website that I really liked. I bet for most people, if you really think about it, when you are looking at websites online and trying to decide on a practitioner or, service provider for anything, an accountant, a lawyer, whatever, if you read something that really resonated with you and you felt like, oh, yeah, that is exactly how I'm feeling about that specific thing, that is what sticks with you. So,
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And there were a few things that came out of that. One is that you mentioned a few times trust. And so I was curious if and how exactly a website can build trust, because the one thing with the internet is anyone from anywhere can publish anything about anything. And there's no real like gate or any
no,
checks.
there's no
Like,
police out there. Is this website real? Is it legit? Yeah.
so what are the ways that we can build trust through an online presence?
Mhm. So it's understanding how people make decisions and how trust is built. And so some of those things are like building the empathy with the words that are showing that you actually understand the person truly and deeply, that you're not just serving them lip service, some generic jargon that came from anywhere. Because especially too, with all the AI tools out there, people can put out anything and sound like an expert. And your customers are looking to know that you actually are a human that truly understands what they're going through. And only you can write that content. We can use AI to help us to polish the content, all of those kinds of things we could talk through. But the actual words and the thoughts that they're feeling, only you can come up with that. And sometimes it can be tough to figure out, okay, well, where do I come up with those words? And I would say, look at if you have an intake form on your website for discovery calls or people applying, have those questions asking what they're struggling with, what their ultimate goals are. All of those kinds of phrases and words can be really helpful when you're trying to come up with, what do I use for my headline? How do I describe my service in a way that actually is going to sound like a benefit to my customer? So I think building the empathy and using those specific words is really important. Also, having things be really clear and focused on your website. And what I mean by that is if you have a really complicated sales process, or maybe it's just like, okay, just give me a call or send me an email, or even like a really basic contact form. A, those kinds of things I've encountered sometimes on websites. That website is like 10 years old and no one's updating it. It's really old. And so I'm not trusting that if I were to submit that contact form, that I'm actually going to hear back from anyone. And it's also just not really making it a very easy process. And so anytime there's any kind of like friction or a little bit of confusion, that's when the trust starts to erode and people are just feeling like, oh, you know what? I don't know about this. And because the internet is so easy to just go back to the search results and click the next website or go to the other tab, there's not much keeping people from wanting to kind of continue on. So having those cues to make it easy for them to take action, and then just simplicity too. So if you're putting a bunch of services listed on the site and it's really unclear which one they should actually use, which one is for them, not really seeing any kind of like clear benefit statements. It's just kind of like, okay, we can have 5 sessions, 10 sessions, 20 sessions, and it's not really speaking to the outcome of those things. That's also putting the onus on our site visitors to figure things out. And so it's not that they distrust you, it's just that trust is built with feeling clear, feeling heard, feeling like almost safe in a way that, okay, this is going to be a good path forward for me. And so if you are just leaving it up to chance and leaving it up to your customer to kind of connect the dots and fill the gaps, they're just not going to feel like super excited. And we really need people to be building that trust as soon as they get on the website. We don't really have any time to waste.
No, exactly. And it's so important because it is just one of the first steps in that relationship that you're building.
Yeah.
So I always think that's really the purpose of the online content. It's not to do all the sales for you, but just to help people take that first step with confidence and really get to know you and build that trust. Because particularly if you're in the coaching world, people really have to put their hand up and say, I'm really struggling with this, to reach out to you. And that's really
Yeah.
vulnerable. So if they don't trust
Mm-hmm.
you, they're not going to take that next step in the first place. So yeah, I think all of
Yeah.
that you just mentioned is so powerful when it works together. But I think people underrate how important those things are. Making it that little bit clearer, that little bit simpler will
Mm-hmm.
make you stand out from all the other coaches that haven't understood this. Um,
Right.
we had Maria Franzoni on the podcast a while ago, and she was talking about how to get booked as a speaker, but she made the point that ease is so underrated. And it's ease and convenience are the what drives sales. So yeah, it's really worth putting in that time and effort to get that bit right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it really is a precursor or a preview of what it's like to work with you too. So if you make people have to jump through a lot of hoops to get started, they have to play phone tag or email back and forth to schedule a time and all of that. It's just not sending a good signal that the rest of the process of working with you, whether they are getting coaching from you, whether it's going to be organizing you to be a speaker, if you're not sending that signal that you have your ducks in a row and that you've got systems in place, and you're going to make it easy for someone and you have figured it out, then that's just a subconscious thing as well. That is just kind of like, oh man, this maybe won't be so great.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing you were talking about is bringing your personality through your website. And again, when everyone's a coach with the same kind of coachy language and the same
Mm,
training, it's personality that people are going to buy into. And that's how I think you're going to filter through, or part of the filtering process to get those right fit clients for you,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're going to naturally work well with certain types of people.
Yeah.
However, from all my years in communication, I very often hear people like think, oh, but I need to be professional. And when they think professional, they tend to think cold,
Yeah.
boring, corporate,
Right.
language they would never use in real life. Um,
Right.
how do you advise people to make sure that their real personality comes through their website?
Yeah. So It's both visual and it's the written kind of processing of things. So let's just say you're a coach for C-suite professionals. You would think, oh, okay, I need to really be professional here. But they're people too. And if they're in the corporate world, they are probably under a lot of stress and pressure, and they are looking for someone who is going to understand where they're at and what they're struggling with. Maybe they are struggling through burnout, or maybe they're wanting to learn how to get towards a promotion, and they need someone that really is going to understand, and they're already intimidated in their job and what they're trying to do. You don't want them to come to your site and also feel like they're going to have to be intimidated working with you. We want them to feel like, hey, I'm a person, I'm going to help you, all of that. So visually, I would say, I mean, let's say that you're working with women C-suite executives. I would make sure that the colors, you don't have to go the kind of like, oh, pinks and, all of that. You can pick colors that really still vibe with your personality, but I wouldn't be going with like dark blues and blacks and all of that. I would be, again, trying to find that middle ground. What I would even say, and this is something that I actually have an exercise in our program, because we do help our clients come up with their own brand as well if they don't have one yet. And so an easy thing is to just pick a photo of a place that like embodies your business. Like what room would really, embody kind of what vibe you want to give off, and pick some colors from there and then go with that color scheme. And then pick photography that is representative of your clients, all of the different demographics, the different scenarios. Are you mainly doing in person? Are you doing virtual? Show different examples, show them, kind of in the settings that they want to be feeling powerful and supported in, and bring some photos of you too. I've definitely heard people say, I don't want to have too many photos of myself on my website. And I totally understand. I think it's a personal decision of, do I want the hero image, that first image on my homepage, to be a photo of me, or do I want it to be a photo of my clients? I think you can decide. I used to have it be a photo of my clients, and now we redid my website and it's a photo of me, and I like it. Feels good to me. But then I also have other photos throughout the site that are representing my clients and all of that. So I think you still do need to have some photos of yourself, especially again for that trust. And I've been on websites where I'm like, I just want to know who's behind this website. And this photo that on the about page is still not even this person. And it really gives me pause and makes me wonder who is behind the site. And I definitely don't want to give my money to that provider until I've actually seen them on a call, if I even get that far, because maybe I'm going to find someone else. So that's kind of the visual aspects, just the high level for bringing your brand and personality there. And then that tone of how you're speaking to your customers. And again, you can just be doing some exercises to figure out, okay, what are some words that would describe my brand personality and the vibe that I want to be giving off? What does that mean in terms of the words I use and the phrases I use? And what are the things that my brand does not represent that I'm not going to be doing? And that can give you some guardrails too. So every piece of content on your site can be consistent. And that's another thing too, is that we don't want the homepage to sound one way and then the about page or your services descriptions to be using some different kind of tone. You want it all to feel cohesive, because people do not just go to one page on your site. They click around, they go back, they find all different pages through search and all of that. So I think those are just some of the big things of just making sure that your website should be about your customers, but it also is about you and how you can kind of marry those two things together, your brand voice, and then how you're using your customers visually and with words to let them know that you're for them as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's, as I said, it's creating that filter, but also starting that relationship. And I remember my first website 18 years ago when I first started my consultancy. It was just a paragraph. This is what I do. And it had 5 bullet points of my services and my phone number, and that was it.
Yeah. Which
And
at the time, I mean, maybe it worked.
it worked,
Yeah.
people were like, do you know what? I really like that I don't have to click all over the place. You just present it. And most of the people that were going to my website already knew me because
Uh-huh.
as you're discovering in my book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking,
Yeah.
I was known for my network. My network of my ideal clients was massive, and I was the only person in this country pretty much that was consulting in this specific area of communication. So, people
Yeah.
came to me. And this is back in the day where just having a LinkedIn profile brought you
Right.
clients.
Right.
If it
Yeah.
wasn't atrocious, you had clients. It was
Yeah.
this magic time. It didn't last, but it was nice when it did.
It's just
Um,
kind of the way with online courses too, like
mhm.
they boomed for a while. Now everyone has online courses and like it's just you have to do more now. It's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
Yeah. So yeah, and then my website evolved and had a picture of a person, but it wasn't me. And then I was
Mhm.
showing up and people were like, "Oh, but you're not who I expected." And it's like, "Oh, okay." So then I put a
Whoops.
picture of me. I finally got some professional photos done, and I saw a difference in how when I showed up to meetings or if I had a call with someone, they already felt they knew me.
Hmm.
And so it really showed me that not having photos, having a photo it's not me, and then a picture of me, it already started to build that relationship. And so now I'm a big advocate for putting your picture on your website at the beginning
Yeah.
so they know who they're building this relationship with. It doesn't all have to be you, but I think
Right.
it's definitely worth having these days. So yeah,
Yeah.
but amazing advice.
Yeah.
So coming back to, I mean, you've now coached and guided a lot of people through building a
Mhm.
website. What are the biggest mistakes you see people making when it comes to their online presence?
I mean, some of the things that we talked about, but we can get into the specifics. So, and I kind of start from the middle, the most central key piece, which is the sales from your website. What is your sales process? Is it clear, and how is it integrated into your website? And is it functional? Have you tested it? And is it easy for people to take action? Because similar to what you were saying, um, there are those people that they already know you. Maybe it's a referral from a doctor or a friend or whomever, and they come to your site and they're just looking for that link to move forward. And that's great. So we want that link to be easy to find. And so on our homepage, people often like signaling my hands, but on a podcast. So people read in like a Z motion. So we want to have a nice big call to action button or link at least on that very far right of your navigation that's to book a call, start here, apply here, whatever it is. If your sales process more begins with someone taking a free training or you want to direct people to a download or something, that's totally fine too. I think if you're selling services or coaching packages, then most people are doing like an application or a discovery call. So that's going to be the thing that you want to give that prime real estate, that final button. And then also in your top hero section, you also want to have another call to action that's to book a call, and then have a page where you have that scheduler embedded and people can actually get on your calendar. And I've heard people say, well, how am I going to make sure that it doesn't conflict with other things on my calendar, or I don't want to have people booking calls all the time? All of that can be handled with technology now and all of that. So don't worry about that. We're just giving people a really quick and easy way to actually move that relationship further and get to speak with you before they move forward. And then we want to have those calls to action throughout the website. If you have blogs, at the end of your blog, if you are selling services, invite people to check out your services page or invite them to book a call. Make sure that even on your about page, you are talking about, okay, at the end of the about page, where to next? Want to get started? Go check out the services page, and then on your services page, have your book a call. So we want every page to be talking to itself, and people can kind of navigate through, pick their own adventure, if you
Yeah.
will.
On that,
Yeah.
I heard someone recently, well, a while ago actually, and I thought, oh, that's such a good point, that if you don't have these call to actions and it make it easy for people to take that next step in the moment, if they're
Yeah.
not clear, they're going to click onto the next website. So basically, you're just warming that person up for the competition. And I thought that was great because I know some people are
Right.
like, oh, but I don't want to be too like forward and I want to like to
Yeah.
slow things down a little bit, but then yeah,
Yeah.
you, as you say, you're just going to warm them up for the competition. I thought that's such great I love that image.
Yeah, that is such a good point because it's like, man, I'm looking for a book a call link. And so then I'm going to go find a website that has a book a call link and I'm going to click that link. So you want to give them the link. And I think that brings up a really interesting point about sales. For many of us, sales is kind of one of those things that is a little uncomfortable. We don't want to necessarily ask for the sale or be too forward. But I think we really need to shift our mindset. And I have to take this advice all the time is that I am here to serve my customers. And
Mhm.
if I am not showing them how I can help them, I know I'm not for everyone. Just all of us, like if we had leads pouring in all the time, that would be great. But all businesses, we have a lot of people that know about us, but only a few people say, okay, yes, this is for me. And that's normal and that's fine. But you need to show people what you do, help them figure out if it's the right choice. And then when they're feeling like this is the right choice, why would you want to take that away from them at the last minute and say, well, I'm going to make it hard for you to actually figure out how to move forward because, I don't want to be too pushy, but that's what they're looking for. So you're serving people by giving them that invitation to get on a call and they're excited to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. And with coaches all the time, you probably hear the same thing. They're just, do you know what? I just want to help people. And like, well, this is how you do it. Helping
Yeah.
people is sales. And I think we need to turn that around. One of the very first interviews I had up on this podcast was with a lady called Lisa McLeod, and she wrote a book called Selling with Noble Purpose. And she made the
Mm,
point that when it comes to sales, our mind goes to all the sales experiences we've had that were done badly. She goes, however, when sales is done well, it doesn't feel like sales. We don't call it
right.
that. We call it serving. They helped me. Oh, they gave me so much time and
Mm-hmm.
came away with so much clarity. They listened to me. They understood, all of
Right.
these beautiful, helping, serving words. They don't call it sales. So
Right.
I think if we have that sort of fear almost of sales, then we're probably going to those experiences that were done badly. So find those experiences where you had a great experience buying something and you head for that. But
Yeah.
you can't help them if they don't buy. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's the first thing. You just need to make sure your site's working on that because what will then happen is if you are doing networking, you're doing marketing, you're doing all of these things, and you are sending people to your website, but then this part is broken, this foundational piece of people being able to become a lead on your website, then all of that work that you're doing is just unfortunately kind of a waste a little bit because those people are kind of going through a sieve as opposed to coming into a bowl and or a funnel, and some of them are coming through and moving to that next step, but otherwise if you don't have that on your site then you're going to be losing out on a lot of potential business and a lot of people that you could be helping. um,
Yeah.
so that's one thing. And then just one other thing that I want to bring up, you and I were talking even before we hit record of how like you have been having people finding you in Chat GPT, and that chat has actually not just been recommending like in Google results, like, okay, here's 5 different people, coaches that are in your area that can help you. But chat is then also giving a description of your website to people and saying this is what people have said about working with Melitta. This is the services. This is how she's different, all of that. And those things came from your website. Like it gathered all of that from your website. And so I think just this is kind of a global overarching thing. But, and this is covered in a resource that I have that we'll talk about a little bit later. Just like what are these key things that you need to have on your website? Because if you are not putting testimonials up there, if you're not doing a good job explaining clearly what your services are and what's different about you and what your process is, either your process to move forward to work with you or your process or framework or pillars of how you help people. If you're not giving that, you're not answering frequently asked questions on your site, if you're not giving your backstory, all of those things help people make a decision. And now ChatGPT and Claude and any of these other platforms, they are pulling that information into a nice summary that could do a really great job getting people to want to then click to your website. It's not replacing your website. It's helping you. But if you don't have it and you don't have it well structured on your website as well, then then you're going to miss out and you're just not going to be one of those like recommended providers to folks. So,
Yeah, exactly. And it's been great having all these referrals from ChatGPT because, like you said, it doesn't just say, "Hey, here's Melita, here's a website," like Google does. It actually sells you to the person. Um, but that's come from all of the bank of content I've created, but also I've always been very intentional with the backlinks. So what websites I link to, which websites link to me, and that
yeah.
again comes to building the trust. But I think it's picking these up as well.
Yes.
Oh, she says this, but look, it's over there as well. And they can do all of this instantly.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a powerful ally to have.
Yeah. And it's this thing that's always there working for you in the background. I think for many entrepreneurs, like marketing, if you're trying to show up on social media and be on all the different platforms and put out content all the time, if you don't have like a repurposing strategy, you're just creating new stuff all the time that's just going into the abyss. But even if you're repurposing, you're still creating a lot of stuff all the time and it can take over your life. Whereas you write a really well researched blog that has these links in it, and you're maybe doing guest posts or you are collaborating with others to get backlinks to your website. It's this system that's working behind the scenes all the time and doing things that you can't even fathom. I think that's the cool thing about a website is that you don't know who is coming and looking at your website at any given time. And it's just there picking up people and showing people what you can do. And I think with marketing and sales, sometimes we're thinking we're going out and finding people. We're, okay, I have to go and look for these people. And it can feel like a lot of work, but actually it can be a lot easier when you set up this like really great foundation and the storefront for your business that's very welcoming and connecting, supportive.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about you, but I have rarely had a sales call with someone who hasn't gone and checked out my website first. They always
Right.
come on, I found you here, then I went there, then I
Yeah.
went through your website, then I clicked on this and I listened to that and I did this trade. They have a whole
Right.
relationship with me in the
Yeah.
background, but it's
Mm-hmm.
all centered around my website.
Yeah.
Even if they find me elsewhere, if we've been on summits together and things, and
Mm-hmm.
if I've been speaking or my LinkedIn content or a YouTube video, but they always then go back to my website. So
Yeah.
yeah, it still has a very important role to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some people maybe think, okay, I don't need a website anymore, or it's being replaced by these other things, but there still is just no spot on the internet that has all of this information that we just talked about. And that is also getting you found with SEO and visibility now in AI tools as well. So yeah, it can't be replaced by anything, and it's still very relevant. And the more thought you put into it, I don't think it's work. It's just thought and intention. The more valuable it's going to be, and the more it's going to work for you in your business.
Yeah, and it's yours. It can't be taken away. Like
Right.
you're hearing all the time about people, like even really big names having their LinkedIn profile
Right.
taken away from them and being blocked
Mm-hmm.
from Facebook or whatever. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've lost everything. There's on your website is
Yeah.
always yours. Your website and your email
Your
list are
email
two
list.
things
Right.
where you can really serve people your way. And yeah, I think we can really embrace that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
for anyone who has never created a website, I have two questions. One,
Okay.
how long should they keep aside? Because I know there's always that thing, whatever you're doing times the amount of time you think it's going to take by three, and you'll be in about the right ballpark. And I tend to think if anything with tech involved, times that final number by two, because it never quite does what you want it to do.
Yeah.
So just to give people some expectation, because I know back when I was doing my consultancy, I did help people with the content for their website, not constructing it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always thought I would write it in a day. And it's like, that would
Yeah.
be um,
Yeah.
but also like how long does it take and where do you start with a website? Because
Mm.
it's a huge project. So what would be the first things I need to think about?
Yeah. Okay. These are all really wonderful questions. So I think the big thing to start is making sure that you are crystal clear on who this website is for, what your brand personality is, what your services are, what your sales process is, and how are you going to get people into becoming a lead and a customer and all of that, because that just drives the strategy that goes into the website. I never want someone to just sit down and say, okay, I'm launching my business. Let me go and whip up a website, because then you're going to get caught in the tech and the design and all of that. And you haven't thought through that foundational stuff of what's your message? What are your services? How are your services different? And that was something I encountered a lot when we did custom websites, was that sometimes people use the website as like accountability for them to finally get clear on their services, but then it ended up being a really uncomfortable situation, because it's like, okay, we need to, figure out what we're doing with the website. And they're still figuring out, well, I was thinking of doing a package like this, but I'm not really sure. And all of that. So try and work through the clarity on that first. And that can knock your confidence. I think be prepared to maybe have some self-doubt, some feelings of, I'm not good enough to actually say that I can help someone with this, or this feels too salesy forward, or whatever. Those feelings are going to come up. It's natural, but they can also slow you down when you're maybe not expecting it and you're thinking it's just going to be smooth sailing. You are going to have self-doubt. It's normal. And you just got to push through it, frankly. So, but then the process itself. So in our program, we time it out for 8 weeks. That's what we recommend. That's the timeline that I give people. Our program comes with 3 months, so 12 weeks though, of live support, so that life comes up, vacations come up and all of that. So I don't want people to feel too rushed, but I feel like 8 weeks is a pretty good way to move forward. But we are installing their site for them, and we already have different page layouts that they pick, and then we install it. And then we put their brand colors in there. And so while we're installing the site, it's on WordPress, they're writing their copy. Not every week is like a new thing. There's some weeks, like for writing the copy, I like to give like 2 weeks. And it's probably going to go a little bit longer than that. But you can also be, when you're getting kind of writer's block on copy, you can go move on to work on your lead magnet, or go and maybe start brainstorming some blog topics or something like that. But yeah, I would say that the thing that usually takes the longest for folks, sometimes people spend a lot of time working on their brand and fiddling with their color palette. And that's one where I'm just like, I get it, I know, but also you're going to have to move forward. This is not going to have as big an impact on your sales and performance of your site as your copy and your services and your sales process and all of that. And then the other thing that just takes a while is the copywriting. But we do have like tools to prompts, and very like piece by piece, like, this is your headline, here's a formula for writing it, then you should say this about this service and this service and this service. So having those prompts and things can really help. And then we do have some suggestions for like using AI just to support the process as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I often think that people jump into their website too soon, because it's like, oh, I have a business, I need a website. But
Right.
if you do it too soon and you don't have, I'd say, clear services, a clear message, clear niche, clear all these things, then you're just going to go in circles because you don't know what to put on. And then whatever you come up with 6 months later, you'll have to redo it because it's not going to be right. Once you start
Yeah.
working with clients and getting their feedback, you'll start to see your value differently.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I love the clarity you just gave everybody on what to know first and what to think about, and the making that sales process, the background and the sort of thread through everything. I don't think many people think about that at first. It's more like, oh, how can I tell people about me?
Right.
Which I think is another mistake. We're not trying to tell people about you. You're trying to tell them about
About
them and how you
themselves.
help.
Yes.
And to turn that around. But yeah, I think that's such again, brilliant advice.
Thank you.
um One thing from coaching business owners, particularly where it's a business where you are your business, there's quite a lot of fear then. Okay, my clients have to find me, I have to have a website and I have to do it. But then, clicking submit and feeling really confident and happy about being visible and then directing people to that and all the work that needs to get people to a website. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have any advice for anyone who is currently hesitating or that, or maybe people are in the flow and into action and developing it, any advice for what might trip them up in terms of their mindset as on that
Mhm.
journey?
Yeah. I mean, it's something I have struggled with myself when I was first starting my business. I knew that I just needed to start telling people about it, and I couldn't even get to that point. And for me, it turned out that I really needed to get some coaching around just uncovering what was really making me not take that action. And so I think just even at the simplest place is to do some journaling and to really get clear on what's beneath me not taking this action. Is it because I don't know what to do? Am I fearful about it going well? I've heard clients say, well, I'm not ready to have a lot of calls on my calendar. I'm not ready to have a lot of clients. And there's a solution for everything. Like you can have a wait list. You can make only certain slots available. You can collect interest. I think there's this feeling too that as soon as you put your website up online, it's going to be flooded with interest and you're not going to be ready to have those sales calls and all of that. And that's just not what's going to happen. so,
Unfortunately.
no, and frankly, for business, we need to be filling that pool of interested people because most people that visit our website, most people that get to know about us for the first time, being a complete stranger, they're going to need to develop that relationship with us. And the easiest, best way to do that is getting people on your email list and regularly sending them emails so that they can learn more about themselves and their problem. They can build that trust that you actually know what they're dealing with. You can share case studies from past clients. You can share helpful articles, a blog you just posted. All of those different things can help build that relationship, and that pool of potential future clients continues to grow and build. So even if you don't have the capacity, maybe you're still working a part-time or a full-time job and you can only take on 2 new clients right now, but you have 0 and you eventually want to quit your full-time job and go in full-time in your business, that's going to require you to have that certainty, I would imagine, that you're going to be able to make that income. And the best way to have that certainty is to have already a pool of leads that are basically getting warmed up, building that relationship with you, buying into what you're saying, and eventually becoming clients or getting on a sales call with you and all of that. And that process takes time. So I think don't discount how long it can take to kind of build up that pool. I know when I started my business, I did not prioritize building my email list. And I really wish that I had, because it takes time to do it, especially if you're doing it organically without ads to get started. But it can really just make it so much easier. Maybe you only have one package to start, but you're thinking about putting together a self-paced program or course, or you want to launch a higher ticket thing. Your email list is that best place of people to go and say, I have a new offer or new program to. So I guess it's just kind of like the mistakes, or if you're feeling unsure or kind of ambivalent, you can take the new clients and you can take things as you come and you're going to learn. It's not going to be a flood. You're not going to necessarily have someone who wants to give you $10,000 right away. And how am I possibly ever going to deliver on that? You're going to crawl before you can walk. You're going to walk before you can run. So you just get started, put your toe in the water, and there's plenty of ways to inch forward in a way that feels good for you without overcommitting or putting yourself out there more than you want to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also keep in mind that, as we were saying earlier, if you're not there, if they can't find you, you can't help anyone.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we have to like prioritize their need over our fears. And I think when I've done that, I've kind of put things into context. Okay, hold on a minute. I'm being really selfish here because I can help all these people. And if I'm holding back, then they're not going to find me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sometimes we do just have to kind of sort the fact from the fiction a little bit and get
Yeah.
on with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And keep like a smile file or some place where when someone has said that you helped them, if you're feeling too like, well, I can't even help people, it's like, no, you have, go and look at someone has said something nice about you. You can help people and focus on those things. And like you said, just continue to move forward.
Yeah, I call it a success journal, but I love that smile file. I think I'm going to have to check
That's
that
not
out.
that's someone else's for sure. But yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
Whitney, we've covered so much, and
Yeah.
I know you've got a free tool that's going to help people through this to really understand what should be on that website and do an audit if they already have a website.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you to introduce that in just a moment.
Yeah.
But before we do, is there anything you think we haven't touched on that people really need to understand about creating that confident online presence website that's going to really represent them, be a magnet for their dream clients, like kickstart that relationship and sales process? Is there anything
Mhm.
we haven't talked about that they perhaps need to know?
I think two quick things more to just to underscore is that your mindset definitely plays a big part in how your website is going to represent you and come off to clients. So just work on your mindset and make sure that you are feeling really good about who you can help and all of that, because that's just going to kind of make the whole process a lot easier and a lot more powerful. And then the other thing is just no matter what advice you see online or you think, oh, I should do this thing or this thing, your website is that place that builds trust with people. It cannot be replaced. There's all tools that do different things. Social media is still a great tool for visibility, but it is different than a website. It is not the same. And so you still do need a website. And it doesn't have to be very complicated. You don't have to have tons of pages or lots of software integrations. I mean, that's the thing that I really teach with my clients is like, it's simple, focus on the important stuff. And then we need to be building that trust with people. So
Yeah, fantastic. And this freebie, tell us a little bit about this, the tool that you're offering.
yeah, so it's the 6 essentials you need to have on your website. And I think the title of it is saying for health and wellness professionals, but coaches, absolutely. If you're helping someone achieve a transformation in some way, then this is the framework that I would definitely recommend looking at. And yeah, you're going to see the 6 things that I say. You'll hear some overlaps, but then also deeper things like that we covered today and how to really bring them to life on your website. And then I do have an 18-point self audit as well, so that you can really objectively look at your website and see, okay, where are these gaps in these areas? And maybe it's only a few places, but we want to plug all the holes. We want to make sure the entire website is functioning as well as it can be. Even if you've had your website for a while, it's definitely probably a good idea to even just revisit it and make sure all of these things are there. So yeah,
Yeah,
and you can go to whitneybateson.com/essentials to grab it. Yeah.
that was my next question. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was like, oh, let's tell people where to go. What's the call to action?
So yeah, and is that the best place for them to go to find out more about you and working with you as well? Is that whitneybateson.com?
.com. Yep, that we just redid the website. I'm so proud of it. So just so many resources there. You can also, I have a podcast. You can read my blog. I have some free trainings and other downloads, and you can learn about my program, the Wellness Pro website system on there as well, or connect with me from there too.
Amazing, amazing. Whitney, thank you so much. And of course, I'll put all of those links in the show notes. You'll find those at melittacampbell.com/podcast. And yeah, Whitney, thank you so much. We have covered, I had all my questions and we've covered all of those and so much more.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Thank you so much, Melitta, for the great conversation.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have found this conversation helpful and you're starting to think differently about how you can approach your website in a way that works and starts converting more of your visitors into clients, at least those who represent your dream clients. And what I love most about this conversation with Whitney is the reminder that your website isn't about you showing off. It's about your future client feeling understood, safe, and ready to take that next step with you. And when you get that right, how everything can change really quickly. And that's really at the heart of what I help my clients to do through the value whispering methodology. If you aren't familiar with that already, go and download the first chapter of my book. You can get that free at melittacampbell.com/chapter. And what Value Whispering and my program is all about is getting clear on the unique value that you bring and learning how to communicate that in a way that genuinely resonates with the people you're meant to serve. how to weave that value through everything you do, through your marketing, your messaging, your sales, your follow-up, so that you create that clear path that feels natural for your clients to follow and natural for you to deliver consistently. And we look at the self-leadership part, because you can have the perfect plan, the perfect messaging. It's not quite enough if you don't believe in it. So we're looking at how we can build your mindset, your success habits, your productivity systems, and your boundaries around all of that, so you can show up as your best self consistently and with joy every day. So building and growing your business feels straightforward, natural, and joyful. So if you're ready to stop blending in and start attracting your dream clients, people who love what you do and value your approach, then I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can go to valuewhispering.com to learn more about that program, and we can have a proper conversation about whether this program could be the right step for you towards attracting more of your dream clients in a way that's perfectly suited to you and to them. And if you found that today's conversation gave you something to think about, helped you see your website in a different way, gave you some steps to follow, then I would love it if you could share this with a fellow business owner or coaching practitioner to help them on their journey too. So do feel free to share this episode with them. Until next time, I'm Melitta Campbell, your business coach and value whisperer, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.